Oh, hello, this is Tak Chung from Walk with Tak. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. I have a good friend of mine, and I will call her Anna for the purpose of this video. Anna loves sesame oil, and she put it in everything that she eats, from salad to any sort of a marinade that she will make for her meat. She asked me one time, is it possible to use sesame oil for stir frying? My answer to her is that no, sesame oil is not suitable for stir frying because of its low smoking point. She then asked me that why sesame oil has a low smoking point. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer for her. So after I did some research, not only that I find out the reason why sesame oil has a low smoking point, but also there are some very interesting aspects about sesame oil that I don't know about. So in this video, I will tell you what I have learned about sesame oil. This bottle is very familiar to me because in my mind, sesame oil has always been associated with Chinese cooking. So I was very surprised when I take up this bottle and learned that actually it is a product of Japan. So this is not only the first surprise that I have come across with the sesame oil. I learned many other things about the sesame oil which contradict to my initial assumptions. Another assumption that I have about sesame oil is that you're not supposed to stir fry with it because as said in this bottle, the temperature of using sesame oil only up to about 325 degrees Fahrenheit. And this is way below the normal stir-fry temperature. Another assumption about sesame oil is its brown coloration. I know that there are white sesame as well as black sesame, and I always have the assumption is that the brown color of the sesame oil is due to the combination of extracting the oil from the white and the black sesame. And now I have learned in fact that all sesame oil are extracted from white sesame. The only reason that they are brown is that the sesame seeds were roasted before extracting the oil, as described in this article about this particular brand known as Cultivation. In this Cook Illustrated article, it demonstrates that there are actually many different kinds of sesame oil produced all around the world. However, the Japanese sesame oil is probably most well known. As described in this article, due to its low smoking point, the sesame oil used mainly as a seasoning oil rather than as a cooking oil. Because of the variation of how the sesame oil are being roasted, they could take on very different appearance as well as flavor. However, unroasted sesame seeds, when the oil extracted from them, they take on a light golden color instead of this brown color. And this type of sesame oil are frequently used for frying. This is commonly known as the light sesame oil. In fact, in many parts of the world, this light sesame oil is used as the primary oil for deep fry. Another very interesting and surprising part of the sesame oil is the history of sesame plant. The sesame plant has a long history as described in this old Japanese botanical drawing. As described in this modern drawing, the sesame plant is actually a flowering plant. The common variety of sesame plant has a white flower against a dark green leaf. However, some of the flowers can take on variations of colors, like in this one has a nice, beautiful purple color. After the flowers died off, it would turn into a seed pod, and this seed pod contains the sesame seed. As the seed pod ripened, it will pop open suddenly and make a pop sound. The seed would then be spilled suddenly out of the seed pod. In myth, the opening of the seed pod released the treasure of the sesame seeds. It is now believed the phrase open sesame in Alibaba and the 40 Thieves come from this particular phenomenon. Another surprising part of the history of sesame seeds is the antiquity of this plant. When I talked to my friend Sanya, who is a cultural anthropologist, and she told me that the sesame plant was cultivated as early as 5,000 years ago. All the archaeological evidence has pointed that the sesame plant originated in the Indian subcontinent. It was the first plant that are used for extracting oil for cooking. The plant is then exported to Africa, and during ancient Egypt, there are strong evidence that this is the main source of oil used during that time. I also learned that one remarkable feature about the sesame plant is that it can grow in places that no other plants can grow. And it requires a very small amount of water for it to survive. Therefore, since antiquity, the sesame plant played a very important role in production of cooking oil all over the world, particularly in Asia and Africa. And now the cultivation of sesame plant is only limited to certain part of the world, and the production of cooking oil by sesame plant is supplanted by other type of crops which are more efficient. Here is a world map to show the distribution of sesame cultivation around the world. As you can see, there are no sesame cultivation in the United States at all. As you can see in this world sesame production chart for 2016, nearly all the sesame seeds are produced either in Africa or in Asia. Even though most of the time when I think about sesame, I always think about sesame oil first. But I also realize that sesame seeds are used in many food as well, particularly in the desserts. I still remember the different type of sesame cookies that I eat as a child. Now sesame also used in garnish in many different dishes. For example, Panda Express just come out with a honey sesame chicken. I also use sesame seed often to garnish my dishes. They not only add a flavor, but they also increase the appearance of the dish. I think the sesame oil provides an excellent example to demonstrate that oil not only used as a source of frying, but oil could be also used to season a dish. When I visited Japan, I realized that how prevalent sesame oil used in Japanese food. Almost there are no miso soup can go without a touch of sesame oil. And it's hard to imagine that a ramen noodle without addition of sesame oil as well. Of course, now I know the roasting of the sesame oil is the reason for it to have a low smoking point. But at the same time, the roasting also gives flavor to sesame oil so that it can be used as a flavoring oil. However, what I learned even more interesting to me about sesame oil is its long history. Personally, I always find food history of great interest because it provides an interlink between culture and tradition. Food is a symbol for so many things, in addition for its nutritional value to the population. Many of our culture and tradition are rooted in the food that we eat. The availability of certain type of seasoning define the cuisine of the region. For example, sesame oil not only important for Chinese cooking, but it also plays a critical role in Japanese cooking as well. However, the most interesting thing I learned about sesame oil is its long history to use as a frying oil, being the first oil being extracted from seeds in humanity. The popping open of the sesame seed pod to release the seed become an important cultural significance, as in the phrase "open sesame." This is something that I find it fascinating to learn. I hope this information is useful to you because for me, now I will not look at sesame oil the same way as before after I learned about this information. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy information in this video, please like, subscribe, and share. I'll see you next time.